we're breaking down dogma. Oh, hey, how's it going? So, as I've been going into my own spiritual work, and I hate the term spiritual. I'm actually over the term spiritual, really. I'm over the language of spirituality because it's so self-defeating still. Language has a lot of power, but if we limit our language, it's really going to still lead to separation. So I've been diving in really deep to deregulate how I describe stuff, to bring things to a place where this dialogue and how we talk about or how we describe spirituality or how we describe this awakening process doesn't alienate the average person, because we're falling prey inadvertently to spiritual ego and spiritual separation, and we're creating an elite mindset in a community that is supposed to be organized and orchestrated to include people in an organic way. And I feel that we might be unconsciously still lucid dreaming in our awakening process, and we're losing sight of some of the most important points of view that you could have to help illuminate and to help shine a light, to help be a candle in the darkness, to help call it like it is. Real talk, reality, not religious talk, not light work talk, not spiritual talk. And one of the biggest aspects that I feel that is the idea that we're spiritually asleep, even though we think we're waking up. And we're in that 5 minutes of snooze before we start our day, clicking that button, wanting to go back to sleep. Because some of the elements that we're incorporating about expansion of our desires is not in alignment with spirituality. If you want to look at spirituality from an inclusive space about love and about being of service and helping people and not inadvertently hurting people because of our self-ignorance or designing our future, where it's based on separating still from people that we view less than us unconsciously because they don't speak our rhetoric. They don't speak our language. They don't know our special powers. They don't tap into the same sources. They're not saging their house, so that means that they don't understand us. Well, that just means you don't know how to talk to them. It doesn't mean that they don't understand you. It means that you don't know how to speak more than one language. And that is a disadvantage. And that's not really how Jesus did it. Jesus went to the gutters, to the people that couldn't even speak, and spoke. So the idea of spiritual isolation based on different ideals of beliefs and success and language and creating a whole new set of labels because it's spiritual, that's self-defeating. And that's not how we're tapping into who we really are. So one of the ways that I wanted to cover that today was there's a huge topic out there, and I feel that it holds a lot of people hostage. I used to talk about this a while back, and it's about the whole twin flame thing. And I feel that there is a huge amount of people that are hurting, and they're hurting on purpose because they're not willing to open up to other points of view. And there's a reason for that. So Imagine for a moment if you graft in or fixate on an idea, like somebody, like dating somebody, or even a career, whatever it might be. You just fixate on this and you have to fulfill this at all cost. However, to be like a twin flame-ish type topic, this idea, this person, a perspective, is helping you to avoid something. It's helping you to open up a part of you that you believe is trapped when it's not, right? It's like somebody saying, I can't lose weight. I can't eat healthy. I don't have any money to eat healthy. You got money for McDonald's. You got money for an apple. An apple's $1.29. That's a lot less than a Happy Meal, my friend. So excuses seem to circle around the twin flame topic, and everybody's making these excuses. You excuse people for hurting you. You make excuses for hurting other people. That's not powerful. That's not presence. And that's not the divinity that you are made of. It is in a delusion. And I hate to say that, but after years of working with people and seeing the validity and the consistency of the chaos involved, the lack of ROI, return on investment, the lack of return of love. You see, you don't want to just love something because it's going to leave you or because you're going to lose. You love it because you can let it go, but letting it go doesn't mean you still covet it. You still create fantasy outcomes about it. And that's one of the things that I feel like if you are in a job or if you're in a relationship or if you are in a twin flame situation, one of the biggest things is that is helping you avoid something. A lot of times, right, even like if you work a job you hate, what did we see with the 2020 breakdown? When you didn't have a job and you had to go home, and then suddenly now you can't be with the person that you've been with for years because you can't stay in the same place. You can't stand them. Their habits bug you. You're done. Well, why didn't it happen before? Because your job was your excuse. You were overworking, you were staying away, you were using friends as an excuse. And then this whole pandemic pulled those excuses out from underneath you, and you had to face it. And that's truth. That's removing a mask of distraction. And the twin flame topic for many people is a mask of distraction. You can call it a catalyst, you can call it a false flame, but it's really a mask of distraction. It means that you don't want to deal with something in your life, so you're finding something to fixate on because you don't want to fix what's wrong with you in your life. You don't want to identify it, so you'd rather exemplify it by picking something, an identity outside of the situation and not facing it. Everything stays status quo, but you add an additional outlet, like a volcanic vent, so that you don't erupt. And this is another factor that happens in a situation where you're fixating on false love. You are getting beat up more than you are getting built up. The whole idea that somebody loves you and they run from you is fucking ridiculous. It's absolutely ludicrous and ridiculous, and you're falling into narcissistic victimization tendencies. Be realistic. Do you want happiness or do you want to live a lie? Do you want to just hoard ideas of happiness or do you actually want to experience it? So the idea is that when you're still lucid dreaming your life and you believe yourself to be awake, you think, oh my God, I'm spiritual. I just encountered this twin flame. I just encountered this. I'm elevating. I know yoga. My yoni is so on fire right now. I just sparked my yoni. I understand that, but if it's a distraction from things that you're not going to do or take care of, or if it's a distraction from who you are, you're not going to do any good. It's going to continue to perpetrate and to perpetuate your pain body. The second thing is to reiterate that if you're getting beat up more than you are getting built up, you have to say goodbye. That's not a relationship that's divine, my friend. That is a relationship that's in your mind, and you've designed it to beat the shit out of you because you feel like you subconsciously need to suffer. Why? Because you're lying to yourself, you're still living in a dream world, and you're lying to yourself, you're lucid dreaming, thinking you're awake. You're not. You're laying in bed, hitting snooze, and you're not wanting to do the work. Plain and simple. I've been there. I'm not pointing a finger. I'm actually confessing my own failures in front of you because somebody fucking has to. Somebody's got to grab their balls and just slam them on the table and say, hey, let's change. Let's redirect this energy. Let's do something before it's too late, because the world is changing and shifting and not in the way that's going to be the best for all of us. So you get beat up more than you get built up. And then you find yourself making excuses. Don't make excuses for a relationship that you believe to be some kind of spiritual gift from God. That won't need excuses. It'll just need a place to expand. If your excuse is, I can't be with you because I've got kids. I don't know what to do. I'm married. Me and my twin flame are married. No, you are creating a fantasy. That's not a God-built relationship, because if it was, it'd come in like a wrecking ball and you would know everything that you're doing wrong and you would change it, because you realize that your children are better off seeing love than the lack of love. So you would make that marriage change. You'd either fix the marriage or leave the marriage and show your children what love really looks like. Because if love laid in your lap like that, you're not going to have to question it. If you question it, or if you cancel it and you can't keep up with it, it's not that love that you're making out to be. Plain and simple. Bang. That's how it works. So don't fucking trick yourself. You're hurting people, and you're hurting yourself, and you're hurting your family, and you're hurting your friends, and you're making excuses. And excuses smell. They smell like shit. Excuses stink to heaven. They don't come from heaven. So that's the twin flame that you're in. That's an excuse. And it's not going to expand your consciousness. You're lying to yourself. Second thing is fourth thing, you're constantly daydreaming about a future with them rather than finding it, building it. You're stuck in the 5D. You see, I'm bringing my 5D body down to earth. That's why I've lost 34 pounds in 45 days. That's why I look better than I ever have. I'm not being facetious. I'm representing the 5D coming to the physical form. When you do this, you're different. You're not having 5D sex. You're going to have 3D sex with a 5D getting that energy on. It's going to change you. It's going to change your physical form. Your physical form doesn't fade away to be 5D. Don't fool yourself. I'm here to testify, right? If you don't believe me, look back a couple videos and you'll see how sick, how unhealthy I was. What changed? I opened up to the 5D self because my flesh can contain it. I was excusing myself. I was making excuses, and I felt like I was emancipated. I felt like I was like almost like fucking like guru status, and that's ego. My spiritual ego was shoved so far up my ass, it made my brains hurt. And I'm here to open up about it, to be real, because somebody has to. We got to stop spouting bullshit, because it's not going to break you through. It's not going to get you to where you want to be. It's not going to drop your 5D body down into your flesh so you can feel, so you can be free here on earth. New earth needs a new you, my friend. So you're making excuses for everything and everyone and yourself. That's one of the biggest fixation, fantasy bubble. Break it out, pop that bubble. You're making excuses. Stop doing it. You're not doing the work. Stop doing it. You're daydreaming constantly. You're having sex in 5D. That's an excuse. You're settling for second best. You're fantasizing. You're looking at spiritual porn. Somebody that doesn't even see you. That's spiritual pornography. That's the ego emancipating itself on a spiritual platform. Don't fall prey to this. That 5D fantasy is spiritual pornography. So the other thing is no return for emotion, no return for investment. If you're loving somebody and they aren't lighting you up, let it go. Don't lie to yourself. Are you still that child looking for mommy and daddy's love? That's what it sounds like to me. And that's dangerous. That's a dangerous place for you. That's a dangerous place for your family and your friends. If you're loving somebody that's not loving you back. There has to be equal action. And I'm not saying that there's distance, right? You can meet somebody online. You can meet somebody and you're working towards it. That's not what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you fixated over somebody for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. All it does is remind you of failure. Why are you doing that? What abuser are you supporting by self-abuse? This is real life, and you have the power to change it. The other aspect that I would like to touch on, besides the no return on action for your emotions and not getting that equal love, is using spirituality as a crutch. Using spiritual terminology as a crutch. Using saging because, oh, well, he doesn't see me. I'm going to sage. I'm going to send myself 5D and he'll find me one day. Bullshit. No, he's not going to. I'm going to cover in my series on my podcast, He's Not That Into You, because I worked with Greg on the show and I love Greg. Because I think we need to reboot that book. And it's going to be He or She Is Not That Into You. And I'll tell you what. I've had times when I had people that like me and I wasn't into them at all. And it's so blatantly obvious that it hurts me. And because of my inabilities to express my own suffering or stand up to my own inner child, I allowed my own trauma to pacify and to portray me as, well, I'm just being nice. No, I had no balls. I wasn't standing my ground. I wasn't saying no. Spirituality, you can still say no. I mean, no and thank you are your key terms. You need to learn to say no. There's nothing wrong with spiritually saying, hell no. I'm not going to do that. And most of the time you're going to be saying no. Do you know who? To yourself. Because if you're in a one-sided situation, a one-sided relationship, you are sabotaging yourself. If you've been in a one-sided love affair for, I don't know how long, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. I talked to a twin flame person that's been in a one-sided relationship for 20 years. I feel sorry for you because you've limited love in your life. You've walked out on love. What you're experiencing is not love. It is a misplaced version of self-sabotage that you're trying to excuse. And if you can't see that, you never will. You're asleep. Don't try to sell yourself as being awake. Just go back to sleep, enjoy your dream, die this life and come back and do it again and see if you can fix it. Awaken means that your shit's got to work. I should see some fruit. And I'm speaking right now from an egotistical standpoint because it's a battle. It is a blatant battle to be here and to understand from an observation place what duality really does. Because there's a part of me, a piece of me that's pissed off. And that's the ego part. And then there's a part of me here that feels so sorry and compassionate. And that's a spiritual part. And these parts have to come together to form a purpose, to have a path, to shed light. And this is the work that Jesus did. And I'm not comparing myself to Jesus in the slightest. I'm not Jesus. I'm not a guru. I'm just a guy that's trying to get by, and I know a lot of information to help. I'm an average person. I'm not awakened. I'm walking every day to be awake. I wake up, jump out of bed just like you do. I go through the same injuries you do. I'm not special. I'm just willing to take that step to see the truth and not, we all lie. Don't try to bullshit me. You've lied to somebody. You've stretched the truth. That's like white magic. Magic is magic, right? If you're praying and you're a Christian and you're in church and you're praying for somebody to be saved, you're praying for somebody's justice, you're creating magic. Shame on you for pointing fingers at people. Let's get realistic. We got to do away with spiritual dogma and the spiritual ego. We got to get real. We got to get serious. Reality is being nice isn't divine. I think we're confusing placating and pandering spirituality with divinity. Unconditional love is not nice. Unconditional happiness doesn't care who you are because it'll make somebody happy at your expense. Because happiness is happiness. It's whoever wants to experience it, who's ever striving for it, who's ever driving for it. And if you understand what happiness is an emotion. It's triggered by a series of actions. Now, unconditional love is not nice. Unconditional love is that lion that drops that gazelle. Unconditional love is that baby that died at birth. Unconditional love is a lot of things that you don't want to look at. And that's one of the biggest problems, and that's why we make excuses. Somebody finds a relationship and they're married with kids, both parties. Talk to a person like this. I found my twin flame. Do you think they love me? We're going to meet. You got 2 kids and a husband. What in the hell are you doing? Shame on you. And you say you're awakened. No, you're not. You're more asleep than even your children. Don't fool yourself. You're making excuses because you don't want to do the work. Go tell your husband, you know what? I met somebody. I don't know what to do. It's something like I've never seen. We need to work on this. I need some time. Have some balls. Have some vagina, right? Stand in your power. What are you afraid of? If it's from God, why are you afraid? Why are you slinking around? I feel sorry for you because I believe in you. I know what you want. I know what you're looking for, and that love is alive and well. And I hate to see you sidestep it because you don't feel you deserve it. Everybody deserves a little piece of love. Everybody deserves a little piece of love. All right, gotta go. Plumber's here. Peace, light, and love. I'll talk to you all later.